Good evening, everybody. I hope you all caught my last video because I've got some major updates to share. If you're someone who loves staying informed on breaking news, missing person cases, human trafficking, or true crime stories, then this is the perfect place for you. Don't miss out. Hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell to stay in the loop. And if you find this video helpful, please smash that like button. It helps a lot with the YouTube algorithm to get this video out there. Now, let's get into today's topic because we've got some big developments. Yesterday morning, the Jackson County Sheriff's Office released some chilling body cam footage involving Colt Gray and his father. But before we dive into that, there's something really important I want to cover first. Bombshell texts from the school shooter's mother have been revealed, showing she warned of an extreme emergency just minutes before her son opened fire, tragically killing 2 students and 2 teachers at Apalachee High School in Winder, Georgia on September 4th. What's even more alarming is that Colt Gray was already on the FBI's radar, which is connected to an interview we're about to watch together. And now we're hearing that the school supposedly had a heads up. Allegedly, the mother told her family she contacted the school that morning to warn them of an impending emergency right before the horrific events unfolded. The mother of suspected Apalachee High School shooter Colt Gray told her family that she called her son's school to warn them of an extreme emergency on the morning that he allegedly killed 4 people. Marcy Gray, the alleged shooter's mother, was seen in text messages shared by the Washington Post telling her family, "I told them it was an extreme emergency and for them to go immediately and find my son to check on him." The outlet reported that a call log from the family's shared phone plan shows Gray made a 10-minute call to the school at 9:50 a.m. on Wednesday, about a half an hour before Colt allegedly opened fire. Now, they were talking about this, if you remember, they were talking about this, about, someone calling. So, Marcy's father, Charles Pumas, told the New York Post that Colt had delivered an apology to his mother via text message prior to the shooting, prompting her to call the school. "I'm sorry, Mom," the text read. Marcy then hopped in her car and started driving toward the school, more than 3 hours away. But about halfway there, she learned that the tragedy she was racing to prevent had already taken place. A counselor at the school told Marcy that her son had been talking about school shootings that morning, according to Gray's sister, Annie Brown, who spoke to the Post. Wait there, pause a minute. At that point, that's what they should have called 911. It's probably not too serious. It's probably not so. They should have called 911 immediately, no matter what. Soon after the shooting began, reports surfaced that Apalachee High School received a warning that the tragedy could unfold. In reported text sent by Marcy, she told her family, "I was the one that notified the school counselor at the high school." According to Brown, her sister called the school because she learned something concerning that made her feel an impending disaster. However, it is not reported what it was that she learned. Her sister, Annie Brown, said that Marcy was told by a counselor that her son was displaying disturbing behavior that morning, ominously talking about school shootings. What the hell there? At that point, that's when he should have called. He or she should have called 911. At that point, not sit there and say, "Oh, it's probably not that serious. Oh, we'll go check it first." Damn it! Call 911. That's what I would do. God, this tragedy could have been avoided. At the same time, one of Colt's classmates, Eerily, who previously shared a chilling account of how close she came to death. told the outlet that a school administrator went to find Colt in their class. Now, it was unconfirmed if it was the administrator. Let's go ahead and take a look at that video.
So let me introduce you to Lila, who's 16 years old. She was actually in algebra class just this morning, elbow to elbow with that shooter, Colt Gray, as he's been named by the Georgia Bureau of Investigations. Lila, let me first start with, how are you? How are you coping?
I'm okay. I'm pushing through it, talking to friends, making sure, everyone else is okay, checking on people around me.
Can you bring me back? What happened?
I just remember, the moment that it happened, he was at the door, and I knew they were looking for him already, but he was at the door, and they almost let him in until they backed up, and then he turned away, and that's when you hear, the first rounds of fire.
So he was in class with you, in algebra class. He left. Then he came back, was at the door, and then knocking to be let back in. Why? You told me something about the doors.
Yeah, they lock automatically, so you have to be let in to come back into our classroom. So I think he wanted to come to us first.
Come to you first to shoot?
Yes, to shoot us class.
And then he was at the door. Student went to open the door, and then what happened?
She backed away. I think she saw him, or maybe somebody said something, but I'm pretty sure she saw that he had a gun, and so she backed away.
So she was about to let him into the class. You think to shoot the students, saw that he had a gun, did not let him in. What happened next?
He turns to the classroom to what would have been my right, and he just starts to shoot, and you hear about 10 to 15 rounds back to back.
What did you hear? What did you think was going on in those moments?
As soon as they didn't let him in, you kind of I don't know, I already kind of had a feeling it was gonna happen and it was him. But as soon as they didn't let him in, and you hear the gunshots, you kind of know.
You knew that something very bad was happening next door. Did he ever say anything?
No, he never really talked. He was pretty quiet. He wasn't there most times. Either he just didn't come to school or he just would skip class. But even when he would have talked, it was one-word answers or just short statements.
You told me off camera you weren't surprised that he would be the shooter. Why is that?
Just because when you think of shooters and how they act or things that they do, it's usually the quiet kid, or that's what stereotype for it to be, and he was the one that fit that description in our class.
Did you ever see the gun, or did the student that go to the door see the gun, describe it to you guys?
No, I haven't talked with her after this. It was all pretty hectic, but I didn't see the gun.
Did he ever have a hobby of guns, hunting? Did he ever talk about any of that?
No, he never really talked.
Can you tell me what it was like inside of the classroom when you hear those gunshots go off? How I heard that you helped to keep the other students calm, right?
Yeah, most of when we heard it, most people just dropped to the floor and kind of crawled in an area, piled on top of each other, lost a shoe when they were, trying to get to a corner. The teacher turned off the lights, but we all just kind of piled together. And I pushed desks in front of us. I was just telling people oh, push desks in front of you, block in front of you, get low, things like that.
And are there any metal detectors in the school?
No, not that I know of.
Did you guys drill for active shooters? We know that some school districts do that.
They were silent drills, so we stayed in our seats. The teachers kept teaching through them. I think it was more for the system of it instead of preparing us.
How quickly, from the moment that you heard the gunshots go off to the hard lockdown alert going on the screens, letting everyone else in the school know that something had gone wrong, how long did that take? Do you recall?
Maybe a couple minutes, but it wasn't instant.
At what point did you know that this was over?
When the cops came in the room and asked us to put our hands up, asked us if we had anything. A little bit after that, they let us all out. But when it was kind of quiet, you hear cops yelling, but it's kind of quiet. There's no more gunshots, things like that.
Yeah. What was that communication like with your parents? I mean, all of us have phones nowadays. I spoke with many students texting what they thought might be their last words to their parents. What was that like for you?
I called my mom. I called her and I was like, oh, they're shooting up the school. She thought it was she didn't believe me at first. And I was like, no, they actually are. And I talked to her for a second and she was like, oh, I'm on my way right now. And then I was like, okay, I got to go call other people. I text all my friends in the school, out of school, everywhere. and I'm just texting and calling kind of everybody.
And what was that like leaving the school? I saw videos of officers escorting the students with their hands raised. What was that like for you?
It was protocol, obviously, but I was glad it was over. Like, I was glad we were able to leave. I was looking for my friends that were there. I was comforting the ones that had been through a little bit of a harder time.
And then, Lila, what would you say to this student that you were just elbow to elbow with just this morning in algebra class, and now this?
I'm not sure. I want to know why he did it. I think that would be I want to know why.
Lila, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it, and the best to you and your family and your community. Thank you for talking to us.
In her previous account to CNN, Sayris said Colt was a serial class skipper and she assumed that was what he was doing when he left the classroom minutes before the administrator arrived. However, there was some confusion as there was another student with a similar name to Colt's in the class. Neither was in the room, and the administrator left the room with the similarly named student's backpack. Minutes later, the shooting began. This could have been prevented, okay? I mean, the mother calls 30 minutes before the shooting starts on a 10-minute phone call, and a counselor telling her that her son was showing disturbing behavior, and talking about school shootings. At that time, immediately call 911, notify the school resource officer. This could have been prevented. I believe it could have been prevented if there was a lot more action, a lot quicker, not a few minutes before the shooting. Damn. The texts offer a clearer picture of how Colt's family understood his mental turmoil and how close school officials came to finding him before he allegedly opened fire. And in one exchange after the shooting, Marcy texted her sister that she was questioning why officials had not found her son in time, as she felt there was a long time for them to intervene. So I'm curious to now. I'm curious to know what happened in that time and exactly what did happen in that time. I mean, like I say, she called 30 minutes before the shooting. She was on the phone with the counselor for 10 minutes. Immediately, like I say, immediately call 911. Damn. Further text exchanges reported that Marcy's sister showed that Colt's school and family were also in contact regarding his deteriorating mental health at least a week before the shooting. In one text, Brown reportedly told a relative that Colt was having homicidal and suicidal thoughts. He shouldn't have a gun, and he should have been in therapy months ago, she added in the text. And exactly. Come on now. I mean, it's reported to the family that he's showing deteriorating mental health. And very irresponsible of that father, because he was living with the son was living with him. This is exactly repeating the whole Ethan Crumbley story situation again with the school. Ethan drew a picture that morning of a gun and kids bleeding on the floor, and like there's books and stuff. Like, he literally drew this. This exactly sounds repeating the whole Ethan Crumbley story. And the school knew about his deteriorating mental health at least a week before the shooting. Damn. Boy, my opinion, I think the school should be held accountable too for taking so long. It doesn't take 20 minutes, okay? I mean, that counselor immediately, when that teacher sent that email to the counselor, immediately he should have went ahead, called 911, or go to the school resource officer, and then call 911. One of the two, because this could have been prevented. Okay. We covered pretty much all of this in the last video I did. About how he was begging for help and people failed him, and about the parent split in 2022. So I want to go to something else next that I found before we go into the body cam footage, because I haven't seen it yet, and I'd like to have watched also with you guys. So the grandfather of Georgia's school shooter, Colt Gray, says the boy's father deserves the death penalty for his part in the tragedy. Maternal grandfather Charles Pohamus says Colin Gray should bear much of the responsibility. I agree with that. Spending 11 years with that son of a bee, screaming and hollering every day, it can affect anybody, he said to the New York Post. And I do, yes, I agree with that too, because, guy, the kid's 14 years old, okay? And he's been screamed at and yelled at for 11 years. So that was like he was 3 years old when so that does do a lot. It does do a lot. He's evil. They didn't survive in it. Colt has to pay for what he did. But I'm telling you, he was driven. No questions in my mind. He was driven by his father to do what he did. That's as plain as I can put it. And I know I'm right. He needs the death penalty. Colin Gray is facing up to 180 years. You see them there rocking in court in his arraignment. So the jury selection is coming up on the 17th of October. So hopefully we can, hopefully I can get that live, do it live. If not, then of course I, can do it later on in the evening. So let's go ahead now and go into the interview with the Jackson County Sheriff's Department with Colin and Colt Gray.
Step out where you can talk real quick.
Inspector to a
You got a son or something that uses, you know what Discord is?
No.
So we got a tip from the FBI saying that somebody from your old address over there in Traditions had made a threat to shoot up a school.
For real?
Yes, sir. And your name was associated with that address. So we went over to that address and you weren't living there, so now
We live here. Let me get dressed.
Sure. Why is there a door in the underwear?
Working nights.
Yeah.
I at least wear pajama bottoms when I answer the door. At least try to.
I come to the door in my underwear.
Unless it's in the middle of the night. I usually have a gun in the hand.
Yeah.
A gun in my hand.
Yeah, then it's a different story.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a thing over on Davenport Road. Guy had stumbled through this person's yard, knocked on the door, dropped. When he left, he walked through a fence and tumbled into the ditch, lost his phone. So I picked his phone up, and it was one of those last calls. So I put it in an evidence bag, and I was like, and it was on the weekend, so I was like, nobody's gonna be messing with this. So I put it in an evidence bag, forgot to take it by the office, went home. I had somebody showing up on my doorstep at 2 o'clock in the morning, beating on the door. Wife comes in there and like, hey, there's somebody at the front door. Went out there, they were gone, but I called Griff. He came out there and checked it out.
Sorry, boys.
That's all right.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I got up watching the golf tournament and sat back down.
That was it. That was it.
yeah.
So what? Tell me what.
You have any kids or anything living
Yeah,
here?
Colt Gray.
Colt?
Yeah, Colt. He's my oldest son.
How old is he?
He's 13.
Does he play a lot of video games and stuff?
Yeah, he does. Play all the time.
Is he here right now?
Yeah.
But you think it's something he might have?
I damn sure want to know.
Can we talk to him?
Yeah, absolutely. Now look, he gonna get all red faced when you talk to him. Just calm, all right? So him and his. Let me give you a backstory. So we lived over Traditions. I went to work one day. I'm sole provider, build high rises downtown. So I get a call from one of y'all, like. So my family's in law enforcement. So when I get the call, I'm trying to think of the officer's name. Turns out, nicest guy like ever. He's like, I just want to let you know I'm at your house. I'm like, for what? He said, y'all have been evicted. I'm like, no, I just paid rent. He's like, no. He's like, I'm gonna stay here till you get here. So I drove all the way home. All my shit's in the front yard. And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I'll just let you know this is what's going on. There's people standing there with trailers and shit. I'm like, what are they doing? He's like, well, they're going to get your stuff after 24 hours. Is that right? Like, I don't even know why y'all are here. So, long story short, I'm like, trying to figure out what's going on with my wife. She's in the house. So we split. Long story short, for obvious reasons. She took my younger two and went back home, lived with her mom. Colt and I rented a house and came here. So we've been good, like no problems. He struggled at first with the separation. All school was kind of so-so. So I've been up at school countless times, just tracking with him. You know, like, hey, make sure you're good. They understand what's going on.
He go to Jefferson School?
He goes to Jefferson Middle School. Yes, sir. So he's been doing really good. Like, you know, in the beginning he kind of struggled a little bit, but
let me ask you this: do you have weapons in the house?
I do.
Are they accessible to him?
They are. I mean, there's nothing loaded, but they are down. We do a lot of shooting. We do a lot of deer hunting. He shot his first deer this year.
Did it? Okay.
You know, so like I'm pretty much in shock, to be honest with you.
Well,
I'm a little pissed off, to be even really honest with you, if that is what was said. But
well,
hell, we've been up to the school for so many times now.
The information I got was sort of incomplete, and I don't know how old it is. And like I said, the original complaint went to your other address, or your previous address, and that's where we just came from, and it wasn't them.
Yeah, no, I'm sure
So,
it wasn't.
I don't know if it's so we ran I had your name and date of birth, so
Yeah.
that's how we got this address. So
I mean, I swear to God, we've been up to school. I've been up to school, like, I'm on first name, but I just was up there 3 days ago for his finals, talking to the principal, like, look, make sure Colt's good. He gets flustered and under pressure. He doesn't really think straight. Can we just, you know, just kind of put your arms around him, get him through 7th grade. I just want to make sure he's good. Like, I mean, we're up there all the time talking to the school. If you talk to that school, they'll know exactly who I am. I'll say that.
Okay.
I mean, because I'm up there that much, you know?
Checking in on him.
Yeah.
Sure.
I just want to make sure he's good.
Yeah.
So I'm a little taken back by the whole thing, but I can tell you this, I take that very serious, and so does he, as a matter of fact. You know, he's...
Say his first name's Colt?
Colt, C-O-L-T, yes, sir.
I mean, all I can do is ask him.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, I want you to talk to him and just just tell him. Like, I don't know. I don't know anything about him saying any shit like that, and I'm gonna be mad as hell if he did. And then all the guns will go away, and they won't be accessible to him. You know, I'm trying to be honest with you. I'm trying to teach him about firearms and safety and how to do it all and get him interested in the outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
Like on my phone,
And get him away from those video games.
Exactly right. That's the god honest truth. And the picture on my phone is him with blood on his cheeks from shooting his first deer. It was just the greatest day ever.
Yeah,
So
sure.
he knows the seriousness of weapons and what they can do and how to use them and not use them. So
10-4. No need.
It's kind of a little bit of a shock. So in whatever y'all are telling him, please instill in him that if this is whatever or wherever this is coming from, it's no joke.
Yeah.
Like, it's no joke.
But we wouldn't be here if it was.
No, I know, and I'm telling you right now, we talk about it quite a bit.
Okay.
All the school shootings, things that happen.
Yeah, scary.
Hey, are you getting picked on at school? He is. He's getting picked on at school, and is everything okay? That's why I keep going up there.
Yeah.
You know, because you never really know, and I don't want anything to happen to him. So, yeah, y'all.
All right, well, if you want to grab them,
yeah, y'all talk.
Or we can go in. It's
No,
up
it's
to you.
all cool.
Up to
Hang
you.
on.
That's the worst part about it. I don't know
What information? Yeah.
when the information came in.
These are good dudes. Just they're
Hey Colt, what's going on, bud? So did your dad kind of explain everything to you?
Said something about
shooting up a school.
Did you say something about school shooting?
Never. I just told him. I don't know what. Maybe they misheard somebody else. I would never say I would threaten them to shoot someone.
You never ever said.
No, I swear.
Do you use Discord?
Discord?
Yes, sir.
I used to. I don't have it anymore.
When's the last time you used it?
Like a few months ago.
Really?
Was it at Traditions, or was it here?
No, it was at Traditions because in that Discord account that I had deleted it before because.
Before you moved here?
Yeah, because I think it got like it had been password pulled or something. Like I clicked on a link and somebody.
Have you heard anybody on Discord when you were using it say something like that? You remember?
Like at that time?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think I ever had anybody that.
Never. And I mean, I'm not trying to get anybody hemmed up, but like this is some serious stuff.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, he knows how serious it is. Trust me.
Because I'd hate to, you know, my boss was even like, you know, I don't know how old this information is, and if you want to wait till Monday to follow up, I was like, nah, I'd rather do it now, because
So would we.
God forbid something happened and I didn't do my job, I'd feel pretty bad about that. So I just want to make sure you understand that if something like that happened, or you hear something like that, report it.
Yeah, yes,
Tell your dad, tell
And
teacher.
like I
whatever.
told him, I would promise I would never say something. Like
So you haven't used Discord in a few months,
Oh, no,
and you're saying you didn't say anything like that.
No, the only thing I have is TikTok, but I just go around there and watch videos.
Okay.
Just,
All right. Well, fair enough.
What's your birthday?
He's just gonna do a little report saying that
We
pretty much what
talked.
we've done in reference to this, and that we talked, and you saying that you didn't say anything like that. And I gotta take you at your word, and I hope you're being honest with me. I'm not saying you're lying, but it's
it's a serious thing. Yeah.
it's not unusual for people to lie to police. Okay.
He's familiar with that too.
Hey, Colin, what's a good phone number for you, sir? Okay.
How's school going?
Oh, it's going good here.
About ready to get done with it?
I
For the
actually
year?
already finished. Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I finished.
When was your last day?
Let's say Sunday, so Friday.
Friday. What grade you going into?
8th grade.
8th grade, almost high school, man.
Yeah.
The last 4 years, really, the last 4 years is what matters.
So I'm trying to, I'm just focusing somewhere.
Get them good grades, man. It'll set you up for the rest of
Yeah, so look, you all are welcome any time. We take it like dead serious around here, and I just want to make sure that I'd even feel better if you do find out what or where. Like, can somebody let us know? 'Cause
Sure.
He's gonna be full of anxiety until this gets resolved. I can tell you that right now.
I've never really say something related to schools.
So did you switch schools when you moved from Traditions? Where were you going before?
West Jackson.
West Jackson Middle? Okay. Is
Um,
things a lot better now?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay. That's good.
Let me grab you one. Can I walk through your grass? I'm gonna grab a card real quick.
Yeah, it's all good.
Are you getting bullied over there at West Jackson Middle?
That's the thing. I wasn't back there.
Oh,
I
yeah.
wasn't getting.
Now look, be honest with him about
Yeah.
now in middle school. I told him you were now, and that's
You
just
getting switched out halfway through the school year, being the new guy?
Yeah, I'm being that quiet. We moved like 6 times already.
Well, my dad was a logger and grew up in the military. We moved a lot when I was a kid.
Well,
So.
in the past schools, I was surprised that I had friends, like I didn't even necessarily have a reason that I would say that or anything.
No. No. Well, there's always somebody you can talk to if you need to.
Yeah, sure.
All right. School resource counselors.
Yeah, and I do talk to them. Yeah, I talk to that counselor quite often.
Okay.
Just, let her update her on, just how my life's going and stuff like that.
Yeah. Start looking out, and making goals for yourself.
Yeah, I'll do that.
You interested in anything?
I want to be a philosopher when I grow up.
A what?
A philosopher.
A philosopher.
Yeah. It's kind of an out there thing, but that's just
Yeah. Well, I mean, do what you enjoy. I mean, I did 20 years in the military. You don't have to settle on just one thing. Did 20 years in the military, retired from that, and been doing this for 7. So you don't have to fit everything inside the box.
Yeah, that might branch out to different states.
No. We got guys at the sheriff's office that are full-time plumbers, full-time police officers, and do what pays the bills. Do what they enjoy. But everything's going good.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that's good. You got a phone?
The iPhone, yeah, I have a phone.
What's your phone number?
Like I said, I changed my phone number and I
Okay.
just connect my
All right. Dad said you went deer hunting for the first time this past year.
Oh, yeah.
What'd you get?
A 3-pointer.
3-pointer?
Yeah, it was nothing much, but I still.
Fork on one side and a prong on the other, or?
It was one on one side and 2, 3-pointers,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah, fork on one side and one on the other. Spike.
Yeah, 4,
Yeah. I've probably seen more one antler deer this year than any other time in my life. Out there in rut and breaking off an antler.
Breaking off the antler.
Run around with just one set of antlers.
grass about this high. So, anyways, all right. Well, look, Colt, I appreciate it. Your dad's got my card. If anything, if you hear anything, tell your dad. Okay? He's got my number. You can pass the info on.
It's serious. He knows how serious it is, and he'll, like I said, we'll have a long conversation here in just a little bit, and if something, it's a pretty traumatic thing that him and I both went through now. He was at school, I was at work, come home, and I mean, every ounce of what we had was under tarps and sitting in that yard. You saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You saw the clientele, the neighbors that lived there. It was like fully embarrassing. So it was
I
very
imagine.
traumatic for both
Sure.
of us, and living here just us is like dust is finally settled. He's
Mhm.
making good grades, so
That's good. We'll keep that up.
And
That's important.
we'll start talking about traditions in West Jackson and just see if something jogs his memory like that. But certainly we'd like to know if you do find.
Well, my thing is this. So, more than likely, they track the IP address.
Okay.
And that's why we went to that address.
Okay.
Because the IP addresses are usually location specific.
Yep.
You know, within an area. So if it came from that house, then either somebody there is lying, or the information is just so old.
Yep.
And you know, maybe it was something he heard or did on Discord months ago. I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay.
But he's telling me he didn't.
Yep.
Telling me he can't remember anything like that. And
yep.
I take you at your word. Okay. If you look me in the eye and you tell me that's what you're telling me, I got no choice but to take you at your word right now. Okay.
Yes, sir.
But like I was telling your dad, if we find out otherwise, then it's a different story. Okay.
It's a really different story. Okay.
Got any questions?
No, sir.
You have any
You're
questions?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'll go the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, sir.
Y'all be safe.
Good luck to you.
I'll knock out a report. You want me to do it?
It don't matter. It's just going to be information. Our agency has just made contact with these people. They had no idea. The husband said that he hasn't been on Discord and since fantasy football. And,
Yeah.
And then Colin made contact with him, and then brought his son, got his date of birth, brought him out, spoke to him. Apparently he was getting bullied. Very soft-spoken, reserved kid.
Yeah. Pretty much unable to substantiate anything at this point.
No.
So, and until we get more information
I
from
got-
this so-called tip from the FBI, then I don't know where
Got
else to go
Dad's
with it.
phone number, so we'll just do an agency assist report for the FBI and write it up and we'll be done.
Sounds like a plan to me. Well, I appreciate you helping me out, man.
Hey, no worries. You take care, man. You need the case number? You got it. You need the case number? You got it. Okay.
Okay, one more video that I want to share with you, and then I'm going to close this out with my thoughts. Charlie Bahamas spoke with Channel 2 Action News, that's Colt's grandfather, by phone on September 6th. He says Colt grew up in an unstable home with both parents battling substance abuse and other problems. Here's what he had to say.
Channel 2 Action News spoke by phone to the 14-year-old's grandfather, Charlie Bahamas, who says Colt grew up in an unstable home with both parents battling substance abuse and other problems.
I'm not discounting what my grandson did. It was awful, and he needs to pay a price for it. But what I'm telling you, and it's the truth, he was driven to do what he did by the environment that he lived in. If you walked in the house, it looked like a damn junk room. Garbage dump's what it looked like. He deserves what he gets. But what I'm telling you is, he wasn't born to do that.
Right.
He was a victim of his environment. That's as plain as I can put it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed the video. Here is my thoughts on this all. This situation is incredibly frustrating. How many more times does this need to happen before schools and authorities take these warnings seriously? The signs were all there, but action was delayed once again. The mother did everything she could to warn the school, but somehow the system still failed. It's like no one is learning from past mistakes. The parallels between this case and the Ethan Crumbley situation are chilling. How can the same sequence of events, warnings, disturbing behavior, missed actions happen again? This should have been preventable. When a parent calls in with such a warning, a serious warning, there should be immediate protocols in place to involve law enforcement and prevent something like this from happening. The system failed these students. This is exactly why we need better mental health support and faster responses in schools. These tragedies are not inevitable. They're preventable. With the right action at the right time, we can't keep ignoring these warning signs. Schools need to have immediate, clear protocols for these kinds of situations. It's devastating to think this could have been stopped. It's insane that we're seeing this same pattern of warning signs and in action again. If schools don't start taking these threats seriously, we'll keep seeing the same tragedies over and over. Thanks again for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to smash that like button and hit the notification bell so you know when I get live or upload another video. If you have anything to say about this, please leave a comment. It'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you. Till the next video, have a good night. Stay safe and God bless. Good night, everybody.
Speak Your Mind Radio is an internet radio community on DLive, broadcasting abducted child alerts, missing person cases, and bringing breaking and top news to you affecting our world, along with music and talk radio.
Thanks for listening.